Hi, everybody, and welcome to Nerd to the Third Power, your one-stop shop for all things nerdy and awesome. I'm your host, Master of Ceremonies, Dr. Gonzo. With me, as always, in this epic quest of awesomeness is our resident anime goddess, the one, the only, the gorgeous, the Cat. Cat, how you doing?
You called me gorgeous? Wait, what? Since when am I... Wait, I'm gorgeous now? That's a thing? We're gonna make that a thing? Well, that can be a thing. I'm not gonna complain.
Well, you leveled up, so new title comes with that.
Do I get a little victory song?
There you go.
Yay!
I'm sorry it's not better, but we have a budget, which is to say no budget. So, anyway, and also joining us this week in our Correspondence Corner is Brian and Brendan. How you guys doing?
I'm upright and mobile, which is, better than I've been able to say for some days. So,
well,
let's roll with that.
It's more than we can say for half of Congress.
Sad but true, and I thought we were leaving politics out of this.
Well, every now and then you just got to take a stab, make sure they're still breathing. So,
yeah,
Brian,
but that's also low-hanging fruit at this point.
Yeah, but that's
Also
a
a good
discussion for
point.
another table. But anyway, Brian, how are you doing?
Go Spurs, go!
Okay, all right.
That's right, I'm the only one here that watches sports.
Excuse you, I saw the United States triumphantly avenge their previous 2 losses at the World Cup to Ghana in amazing fashion just yesterday.
Yeah, but we don't care about soccer. We're the United States.
Hey!
I'm just... Oh, man.
Okay,
Jump back.
sports
I'm
fans,
getting everyone today.
you can take it to ESPN later. Right now we have a show to do, and what a show. Oh my goodness, what a show. Big show this year, our annual E3 blowout. So yeah, a lot of big news came out of this one. A lot of stuff I'm really excited about, and a lot of stuff I'm kind of ambivalent on. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna be discussing that and seeing what all came out of that. But of course we have procedure, so we're going to start as always with Ask a Geek, and our first question comes from Jason, and he asks, and I am reading in full, direct quote, "Dear Dr. Gonzo, I'm wanting to ask how you got away with it. What have you done with the bodies? You said you would spill the blood of a dozen men if Tim Schafer was able to get his hands on Grim Fandango again. And after the announcement of this year's E3, I think there might be some shenanigans on your part. What did you do with the blood to make this happen, and how have you not been arrested for it? I will never tell, but you're welcome." Also, goddamn,
Your laundry was like really terrible that day. I'm imagining you had to buy a whole new set of clothes, a new closet.
Everything got burned.
Also,
Oh, yes. So
also,
much
goddamn,
fire.
your memory is awesome because I made that joke I think 2 years ago.
You, sir, should write in more.
Please do. That was entertaining.
Okay, next question here comes from Tim Murphy, no relation to the Jurassic Park character. And it's for Kat. What is your favorite season of Once Upon a Time, and who did you think was the show's best villain?
Ooh. It has had quite a few villains. I honestly think my favorite season is probably season 1, and my favorite villain is probably Regina, the evil queen, just because she is so good to hate. It's really, really fun to hate her, because you hate her because she's just such a bitch in the first season, and the good guys just can't ever win against her. But at the same time, you really sympathize with her too. So I think she's just a really all-around interesting character, and definitely I think season 1 had paid more attention to a lot of my more favoriter characters. Making up words at this point.
All right. Next question here from the email, and it's from Bobby for all of us, and it reads simply, the Game of Thrones finale, what the fuck? Kat, I think you're best to field this one.
Which part? Because I spent most of that episode huddling in the corner with a bottle of wild turkey, rocking back and forth with tears in my eyes. What the fuck indeed? I gotta say, I read all of the spoilers because I don't like to be surprised. That doesn't stop me from, again, wild turkey rocking back and forth in the corner in tears. But I like to know what's going on, but it still gets to me quite a bit. And my god, Tyrion Lannister. What a bamf. He is just too amazing, and spoilers, killing his own dad was something that definitely needed to happen. Shooting him with a crossbow on the privy, especially excellent. Everything.
He Elvis Presley'd him.
Nice.
Killed him on the toilet.
I think this was probably a great deal more violent and filled with hatred than Elvis Presley dying on the toilet. But nevertheless, we can call it that if you want.
Okay.
But I'm really excited for the next season now. All the stuff that's going to happen with Tyrion, and especially all the stuff that's going to happen with Arya and probably Sansa too, is going to be really great.
Okay, and he's got a second question for you, Kat, and it reads simply, Korra Season 3, holy crap.
Oh my god! They released the official trailer, and I really, it's like, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, fool me a third time, I guess we'll just have to see, because the third season looks amazing, and the show always looks amazing, but I think the way that they ended Book 2 is setting it up for an actual good season for once, because I haven't really enjoyed the last two all that much. But it looks fantastic. Really excited to see Zuko. Really excited to have just tons of Lin Beifong. I think we're going to get some really cool flashbacks, and I'm pretty excited. I'm preparing myself for the inevitable disappointment that is Korra, but oh, my heart hopes and hopes and hopes for a good season.
All right then. Okay. I still have to watch Book 2. I haven't watched it yet.
Well, half of it is pretty good. It is unfortunately not the first half.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of a slow burning Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of thing. All right, cool.
No, it starts off pretty bad, and you want to strangle most of the characters.
This is not a slow burn. It's nothing's happening. Explosion!
Okay. All right. Let's see here now. Here's one for me. But the question goes, I recall a long time ago you mentioned that you have a great dislike of World of Warcraft. With it reaching its 5th expansion, I have to wonder what your ideal massively multiplayer online RPG would be like. How it plays, feels, looks, and simple stuff like that. Oh, see, this is kind of weird. My biggest issue with massively multiplayer games is it's not really the games themselves, it's the people who play them. I don't know. I just don't like the culture that tends to surround them. Just the hardcore. If you're not up on the, here's the thing. This is what I've seen in massively multiplayer games, especially long runners like World of Warcraft, EverQuest, or God help me, EVE Online, and that's that it's not really accessible to a whole lot of new players. If you haven't been there for a while and haven't been immersed in the culture that surrounds it, you're going to get lost, and you're not really going to be able to have as full an experience as you would have as the people who've been there for a while, because everyone's so far ahead of you. Everyone's going to be like, oh, he's the new guy. Let's, totally fucking destroy him. I don't know. A lot of it's the culture that just surrounds massively multiplayer games. I think the big thing that really turns me off them is that I play games to be immersed in another world. I don't really play games to, just to make a random number climb higher. I play games to, visit another world and immerse myself in it, in its ways and its cultures. And massively multiplayer games just don't really lend themselves to that. Now, there was one exception. There was a massively multiplayer game that I did enjoy, and it was a text-based one called, I'm trying to remember what it was called. I think it was called Empyrean. I'm not really sure. But it was a text-based massively multiplayer online RPG, and it was strictly roleplay. Everyone was strictly, in-character dialogue was enforced. You had to put in a special command to type out of character dialogue. And I'm not talking about like you hear people talk about they roleplay. Oh, it's like a little game that they play on like a forums. Everybody posts, and that's how you tell the story. No, this is like, if Zork, the old text-based adventure game Zork, was a massively multiplayer online RPG, that is what this was. And I really enjoyed it because even though it was probably because it was text-based and everything was so richly written, I was able to really immerse myself in the world and its setting, and I really enjoyed it. But unfortunately, I kind of fell out of it. I didn't really have a whole lot of time to devote to it. But it was a really fun game, and I really enjoyed it. But like that's the big thing with massively multiplayer online games is I just can't get immersed in them. I like games that really draw me into their world, which is probably why I've logged about 400 hours in Skyrim, because I have no life. So, but that's my big problem with massively multiplayer games. It's not even just the fact they're massively multiplayer. It's just because of their design, I can't get immersed in them. So, and as for WoW and its expansions, look, Mists of Pandaria was just Kung Fu Panda the video game. So I'm not really too impressed. Okay. Next one here is for Brian, and it's from Min Tran. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. And they want to know, who's your favorite comic artist?
Oh, why would you ask that question? Oh no.
It's such a basic question. Why is it so hard?
I know. Oh, because there's so many. Ugh. There's always Jack Kirby. You always kind of go for the big guy, but
wow, if I knew it was going to get this reaction, I'd have asked it years ago.
There's Alex Ross, but Alex Ross is more of a painter.
But he did a book. Alex Ross did a book.
Well, Alex Ross does books. He does Kingdom Come. He's done other books since then. He's done Project Superpowers for Dynamite. He did one issue of Masks for Dynamite. He's done Marvels for Marvel. Oh God, I'm like looking at I'm looking literally like at one of my bookshelves, going, oh crap. Doug Mankey's pretty good. Amanda Conner is great. Amanda Conner is a fantastic artist. Fiona Staples is really good. Oh, I have too many to name. Literally too many to name. Adam Hughes, he's another really good one. Oh, I could go on forever just listing off these books. Those. Yeah, let's sort of stick with those sort of names. Rags Morales, he's really good too. Crap, I keep picking up new ones. So I have a lot. Too long, didn't read. I have a lot of really favorite. Greg Capullo, I just remembered him. Francis Manipal. Oh, there's just a lot of really good artists out there. They all do fantastic work.
Okay.
Bruce Timm.
We're gonna go through the rest of the episode, and he's just gonna keep throwing names out.
I was about to say exactly that. I mean, see, it's just so obvious. That's where this is going to end up.
We'll be in the middle of the E3 discussion, and this is why I think the video game industry is about to crash. Paul Newman.
Pretty much.
Oh, Kevin McGuire.
I don't know. I almost don't want to continue because I want to see how long you can keep going with this.
No, continue, please, because it'll take forever.
Okay, all right. You sure?
Yes, I'm positive. I'm good now. I'm good. I'm calm.
Okay, you sure?
Yes.
We're not gonna have like an outburst in about 5 minutes or so?
No, we're okay. We're good. We're good.
Okay, all right.
I wouldn't put money on it though.
All right. Okay, next question here is for Brendan.
What?
Yes, we get questions for you.
Really?
So, yeah, we get questions for you.
My God, man.
Look, I've got a couple of them right here. First one's from Paul, and he wants to know if there was a magic card that you could take off of the ban list, what would it be and why?
Oh shit. Okay, now first, are we talking legacy band list or are we talking modern band list? Because
Dude, you're the tabletop expert. I have no idea what any of this stuff is. As far as I'm concerned, the moment you start talking magic, you may as well be speaking Greek. So I'll let you make the distinction.
I'm gonna have to go with modern on this because pretty much everything on the legacy band list is so scary you never want it to see the light of play again. I'm actually going to need a second to pull up the modern band list because I can't remember what is on it at the moment. Let's see. Blazing Shoal probably shouldn't come off because that just, I mean, it's a fair card on its own, but together with like every single infect card in existence, it's just two one-turn kill-y. And that's not good. Oh, wow, and Wizard's Sight is down for routine maintenance, so I can't see what's on the banned list. Fantastic.
Woohoo!
Okay, so you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say take Bloodbraid Elf off the banned list just for the purpose of experimentation. I don't know that it quite has the power level of some of the other stuff on there. I mean, sure, getting a free card, really, really, really powerful, and it's an effect that should be only employed with great caution. But compared to stuff like Stoneforge Mystic, which basically goes and grabs any card you want out of your deck as long as that card is an equipment, it's kind of tame. You don't really have the control you have with some of the other cards that are on the banned list. And, you know, to get it, you do kind of have to work for it. You have to either build your deck around it or put in a lot of cards that will help you get that card you want for free with the Bloodbraid Elf. And the problem is if you do that, you're wasting a lot of space in your deck with card fixing that you could be, you know, filling with means to kill the other guy. So I guess that's my answer. Although now that I think on it, probably at least one of the other card filtering cards like Ponder or Preordain, as a blue-red player predominantly, I definitely wouldn't mind having access to some cheap, mostly ineffectual card filter for use in combo or control. So, I guess if it were between Bloodbraid Elf and card filter, I'd go with Preordain.
Okay. And next question here is from Rand. And he asks you, Brendan, what is an out-of-print tabletop or card game that you would like to see brought back into print?
Oh my god. Okay, now this I don't even need to think about. I want to see Magi Nation come back to life from the dead. I first learned about this game actually as a video game. It was this adorable little niche Game Boy Color game that I played the bejesus out of, and I was over the moon when I figured out it was an actual card game. Now, naturally, only a few months after I discovered it was an actual card game, it ceased to be an actual card game, which depressed me to no end. But while it existed, it was a very, very interesting game. There weren't, like so many other card games use, resource cards in the deck that you needed to play in order to play your other cards. You had like a magi, sort of like an avatar for you, and that would build up energy over time that you would use to cast your other spells. It was an interesting concept, and there were a bunch of other neat things that went with the game. It was adorable and awesome and just all kinds of great, and I miss it terribly. And if there were a card game that I could bring back from the dead, it would be that one.
Okay. And let's see here now. I had another one here that I really wanted to read off.
Oh, Will Eisner, Neil Adams.
God damn it! You said you were fine. You said you had it under control.
I didn't.
He lied. Are you really surprised? Not
So
that I meant to imply that Brian is a liar. Just that's...
I'll tell you what, I'll put up with it while we're here recording, but so help me God, if you call me at fucking 3 o'clock in the morning and you go, Jack Kirby, I will fucking drive down to Texas and I will fucking gut you.
Well, you don't have to worry because I already said Jack Kirby, so that's not going to happen. It just may be someone else.
And you know, he probably wasn't going to do that, but now that you've mentioned it...
No, because I will also be asleep. I enjoy my sleep. I'm not going to troll people when I want to sleep.
Fair enough.
That's a rule. That's a rule. No trolling when you want to sleep.
But when you're awake, and you're awake before he is.
Possibly.
Stop giving him ideas!
It's pretty easy to do because I sleep in really late. Okay. Alright, but that's all the Ask the Geek questions that we have for this week. As always, you can drop them to us in the email at billysmith@channelawesome.com, or throw them in the That Guy with the Glasses forum thread of the same name. Or producer Tom has also been maintaining Ask a Geek threads on our Facebook. So if you follow us on Facebook, you can drop them on our Facebook as well. And so we're going to jump right into our news segment, starting this week with Brendan. Why don't you take the lead this week?
As should be blatantly obvious by now, this is Brendan the Blast Seeker, and I'm here with a summary of the state of play in the tabletop world. Now, I've been out for a while, which means there's an ass load of information to cover, but as usual, only a few turns to do it in. So, without any ado whatsoever, here is the current board position for all of your favorite gaming needs that don't come with a power cord. Since we last checked in on perennial subject Magic the Gathering, its makers have released not one, but two new expansions for the venerable trading card game. The one titled Conspiracy is the more recent and, in my opinion, more interesting addition, so we'll start there. At 210 cards, Conspiracy is a set of unusual size, until you consider that it was designed to be drafted. Without going too much into the specifics, Draft is a kind of limited format in which players take turns picking cards out of booster packs, one at a time, and then use the cards they pick to construct a deck with which to compete. Conspiracy messes with the usual expectations of a draft in several ways, the first being that aforementioned smaller than average size. This means that each common and uncommon card in the set will appear in greater numbers than usual when one is drafting, making it easier to grab multiple copies of a particular card that you want to use. The part where things really get crazy, though, is in the pack's 15th card slot. In most mainline Magic expansions, this last slot usually contains a tremendously unexciting basic land card, but in Conspiracy, it will hold one of two special kinds of cards explicitly intended for conspiracy drafting and multiplayer gameplay. One is a brand new card type called, fittingly, a Conspiracy, and it affords you special bonuses for the games you play after drafting. You start the game with these bonuses either active or ready to play at your whim, and while there's no mana requirement whatsoever, it would behoove you in most cases to build your deck around these conspiracies in order to maximize their effect. The other class of special card is a series of construct-type artifact creatures that have abilities that affect the draft itself. Some might let you make extra draft picks at the expense of future ones, while others permit you to spy on the cards other players are choosing. There's even one that lets you add a brand new booster pack of your choice to the draft and pick the first card out of it. Crazy stuff can and will happen because of the contents of that last slot. All this, of course, is completely ignoring all of the regular awesomeness that's occurring in the rest of the pack. If any of it can be called regular, that is. Of the 52 new cards in Conspiracy that aren't themselves conspiracies, 5 are brand new legendary creatures with abilities ranging from weak to borderline breakable, and 1 is a new planeswalker specifically designed to be competitive in Legacy and maybe even Vintage. We also get cards with the new keywords Parley, Dethrone, and Will of the Council. Yes, I am aware that Will of the Council is in fact 4 words and not just 1, but bear with me here for a second. What Parley does is this. Each player reveals the top card of their library, then, depending on both the spell or ability being used and the cards revealed, you get some sort of effect that is either good for you or bad for your opponents. Finally, each player draws the card he or she revealed. The idea here is to balance out the advantage you gain from the spell or ability with Parley by then giving your opponents an extra card. Most Magic players like drawing extra cards, so if they feel like you're helping them more than you're threatening them, that gives you a chance to continue to gradually build up your game plan until you're ready to crush everyone. Dethrone, on the other hand, is less subtle than that. A lot less subtle. Whenever a creature you control with Dethrone attacks, if its attack target is the player with the most life, it gets a permanent boost to power and toughness in the form of a +1/+1 counter. That's literally all there is to it. Dethrone is a mechanic specifically designed to encourage attacking in multiplayer games by providing an incentive to knock the current King of the Hill down a peg or two. Keep in mind, though, that if you are the player with the most life, your creature's Dethrone triggers will not activate no matter who you're attacking. It may seem obvious now, but I've seen this issue come up in person at least once, and it's an important distinction to make. Last, but most assuredly not least, Will of the Council formally introduces the concept of voting to Magic. Whenever a player casts a spell or activates an ability that uses Will of the Council, starting with the spell or ability's controller and going around the table clockwise, each player votes in favor of one out of 2 or more options, with the outcome determining what the spell or ability actually does. There is always an option the card defaults to in the event of a tie, ensuring that the card's controller will always get to do something, though it may not always be exactly what he or she wanted. All of these mechanics play exceptionally well the more people there are playing at once, which fits the casual multiplayer theme of Conspiracy just fine. And we haven't even touched the reprints! My god, this set is a goldmine of stuff to yak about! Where the hell do I even begin? How about with Stifle, the infamous 1-mana blue instant that counters activated or triggered abilities? Or Misdirection, another blue instant that changes the target of a spell and can be played for free if you need to. Or Exploration, a classic 1-mana green enchantment that lets you play an extra land each turn just by sitting there. While we're on the subject of green enchantments, let's not forget world-ending Boom Button, Pernicious Deed, or Army Buffer / Mana Ramper / shiny and generally awesome Mirari's Wake. These cards and several others like them comprise a list of very desirable targets to hunt for. Some of them have never been reprinted before now, and some are only available as premium foil cards now that they're in Conspiracy. Granted, most of the reprints aren't as exciting as Misdirection or Mirari's Wake, but they're all solid choices to ensure a fun and competitive draft environment. The presence of truly exciting cards worth chasing after, though, just makes things even more exciting. I've been looking forward to this set ever since the Magic community first got wind of it, and now that it's actually out in the wild, I'm even more psyched. If you're a Magic player who enjoys multiplayer games, raucous drafting, and the kind of brilliant stupidity that can only come from something like this, you owe it to yourself to get to your friendly local game store and play some Conspiracy pronto. If they're not running an event anytime soon, buy yourself a box and run one at your kitchen table. If you don't know where your local gaming store is, find one. Google exists. I don't care how you do it, just play some Conspiracy. It's a fantastic addition to the game that the Wizards of the Coast needs to make more of as soon as possible, but they're not going to do it if we don't buy it. The will of the council demands it. Vote with your wallets, people! I'm okay. Anyway, I did mention that there had been 2 Magic releases in recent days. Conspiracy was one of them, and the other was Journey into Nyx, a small expansion set that brought the Theros block to a close. Clocking in at 165 cards, Journey into Nyx brings the heavy enchantment theme that had been missing from previous sets, and keeping it from feeling truly like an enchantment-centric block. It primarily accomplishes this through the Constellation mechanic, which appears mainly on enchantment creatures, but also on some regular enchantment cards. Constellation is a keyword that basically offers its controllers a small effect that is either good for them or bad for their opponents when enchantment enters the battlefield under their control. Something important to note here is that the permanent with Constellation will also trigger its own effect when it first comes into play as well. The other new major mechanic is Strive, a keyword that appears on some instant and sorcery cards in the set. From what I can tell, Strive actually behaves a lot like the old Fireball mechanic, except perhaps cleaned up a little. What that means in layman's terms is that when you cast a spell with Strive, you first pay the base cost of the spell and select one target for it. Then you may pay the Strive cost to select an additional target. You can do this any number of times, so long as you pay the Strive cost for each additional target. It sounds like a great idea, but in practice, planning to use Strive actually makes your spells very expensive very quickly. Save in a few specific cases, this mechanic seems like one perhaps better left on the shelf, not least because the Overload mechanic from Return to Ravnica block already does its job much better. And I'm not just saying that because the Izzet are my favorite guild, though it may be relevant. In any case, most of the other block mechanics return in Journey into Nyx 2. Heroic, Bestow, Scry, and Devotion are all back, as is Monstrosity following its brief hiatus in Born of the Gods. We also get to see the completion of some cycles here. The Theros Pantheon welcomes the 5 enemy-colored minor deities, and the last 2 temples are made available as well. The most unexpected cycle completion, however, comes in the form of Ajani, Mentor of Heroes. It was known for quite some time that the big cat would have a role to play on Theros, but nobody was quite sure what it would be. As it turned out, he became the first green and white multicolor planeswalker, the only 2-color combination not represented up to that point among planeswalkers. Wizards of the Coast has been adamant that they will design Planeswalker cards to fit the purposes of the game's overarching story and not to complete cycles, which is probably the best plan. But I don't think anyone can deny that the Magic community breathes a small sigh of relief at having this particular unintentional cycle completed. In any case, Journey into Nyx provides a solid finish, not spectacular, but solid, to a block that sometimes inspired, sometimes disappointed, but will always provide a reason to remember it. As mentioned earlier, Journey into Nyx boosters and related product have already released worldwide, so feel free to drop by your local game store or retailer to grab a pack or two if the mood strikes you. Well, okay, you've probably started to reach the point where you've had enough of my particular brand of blatant geekery for one session, so I'll pass you all off to a fellow Multiverse Voyager, the aptly nicknamed Multiverse Brian. Before I go, though, please let me take a moment to ask, as always, for your opinions. What did I miss or skim over that you would have rather heard more about? Alternatively, should I shut up about magic just for once in my life? Kindly direct your comments, concerns, and vitriol to our Facebook page or to my own personal address for N-Cubed correspondence, blastseeker@nerdtothethirdpower.com, and I promise I will not ignore it completely. So, until next session, this is Blastseeker Brendan reminding you that while your poor empty kitchen table that doesn't have any boxes of wonderful conspiracy boosters on it may be your... No, actually, I take that back. The table deserves the sympathy here. Why haven't you gotten any conspiracy yet? There is literal... I'm fine. And the dice are always your friends. Brian, go. Please.
Thank you, Blast Seeker. Well, news is a little bit short in the multiverse this week. A lot of people probably going to be gearing up for the San Diego Comic-Con, so expect a huge pile of news right before that comes out, and then possibly some news when the event actually hits. But in the meantime, I do have these headlines for you. Marvel's been riding pretty high lately. Last month's Amazing Spider-Man was selling very fast and very high. Heck, even I somehow managed to get a Fan Expo variant of it. I wasn't even at Fan Expo. Try to figure that one out. It was also a high price comic, which now seems to be bleeding to other series. Death of Wolverine #1 was priced high at $4.99, while the rest of the series coming out the following weeks was going to be $3.99. Well, that has changed, and the rest of the series will match the $4.99 price of the first issue. Prices in comics have slowly been building towards this. There are more and more $3.99 books that seem to pop up, and now we're even getting a few $4.99. And this is a weekly series, mind you, which has never had a price that high before. Now, I don't know what the page sizes of these books. They could be oversized for accounting for the price. I don't know. The solicitations had them at classified when the last time I looked. But I just hope it doesn't start another trend of price raisings across the board. Dynamite Entertainment has announced a new Bionic Woman series, Bionic Woman Season 4. After the success with the $6 Million Man Season 6, it was really only a matter of time before this idea was also greenlit. This series will start in September, and as the title suggests, it will be a continuation of the TV show. Writer Brandon Giroir was quoted in saying, "I'm definitely treating this in terms of continuity and thematic carry-through." A preview of the series artwork is available online over at Bleeding Cool. Valiant Comics' first book that looked like the end earlier this month has Bloodshot and Hardcore finished up its storyline in issue 23. The series will look to be replaced with Armor Hunter's Bloodshot miniseries that was sort of a spin-off of the title. But in watching the creators of the book on Twitter, I had a feeling something was up. Maybe a relaunch of the book, perhaps? Well, it turns out I was only half right. Bloodshot will return in October without the hardcore, but it's also going to continue on with issue 24, so no new #1. In other Valiant news, the publisher has a new Quantum and Woody miniseries called Q2, The Return of Quantum and Woody, which brings back the original creative team behind the world's worst superhero duo in Christopher Pierce and MD Bright. This is a 5-issue miniseries that will be out in October. The series will be set 20 years after the original Quantum and Woody series that was put out by the Valiant/Acclaim publisher. The two have gone their different ways, and now Woody is trying to prevent Quantum from going back into the superhero work with a new partner. Also out in October will be a complete Quantum and Woody Classic Omnibus, which will have over 600 pages of the series plus extra. So look for both of them coming out this October. And like I said, it was very light news this week, and I hope everyone has enjoyed my headlines. And before I hand it over to the cat, one more time, with feeling, go Spurs, go! Cinco titles, baby! Alright, I'm sorry. Had to get that out of my system. But again, thank you. Now, for some anime news, I turn it over to Kat. Kat, take it away.
Thanks, Brian. There's not much going on this week, so I'll keep it nice and short. The July issue of Kodansha's magazine special is announcing that mangaka group Clamp will debut a new Tsubasa series starting in the September issue on August 20th. Little is known about the series other than it will tie into the ongoing XXX Holic Ray manga. Knowing the popularity of Clamp works and the importance of Tsubasa to their canon, the series is likely to be picked up pretty quickly outside of Japan. I wouldn't be surprised if it's already licensed and it's not even out yet. Madman Entertainment announced at Supernova Sydney that they've acquired the live-action Black Butler film for home and digital release. No exact release date is set yet, but it should come soon. They've also licensed the Bento and Hatalia Beautiful World anime series. Discotech Media has made a string of licensing announcements over the past few days. First off, they'll be releasing the 13-episode Supernatural anime Zombie Loan on DVD with English subs on September 30th. Second, all 26 episodes of Shin Mazinger Z Impact, a retelling of the original Mazinger Z mecha series, will ship in a full DVD collection with English subs next year. Also coming next year are all 25 episodes of the 2008 shoujo anime Itazura na Kiss, as well as the Ayashi no Seres full series with Japanese and English audio. Same goes for the 46-episode Flame of Recca series. They'll also be releasing the 35-episode Super Dimension Century Orgus anime series. 17 of those episodes will include the original 90s dub. Orgus is part of the Super Dimension trilogy from Big West and was almost Frankensteined into the Robotech universe along with the other two Super Dimension series. Funimation has announced that they'll be holding a red carpet premiere for the Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods anime film at the Regal LA Live Stadium 14 theaters in Los Angeles. The premiere will be held Tuesday, July 3rd, 2 blocks away from Anime Expo, which starts that same day. Cast and crew will be in attendance. A limited theatrical release for the series will run in select theaters August 5th, 6th, 7th, and 9th. Also, real quick, Funimation revealed that the second Attack on Titan box set will be released September 23rd, so if you've got to have it, it's already available for pre-order. And finally, Section 23 Films has announced that the Blu-ray DVD combo collections of Gatchaman Crowds have been delayed from a July 29th release to September 2nd. No reason for the delay has been given. This of course means that those who were planning on getting me Crowds as a belated birthday present will have to wait, and I will happily accept really late birthday presents. And that's all I've got going on in the anime and manga world. Over to you, Dr. Gonzo.
All right, and that's all the headlines that we have for this week. We're going to take a quick musical break. When we come back, our annual E3 blowout. What shined, what stank, and what did we take vows of silence never to speak of ever again? Stay tuned. We got a lot of fun stuff ahead.
And we are back. Sorry, folks. Yes, it's just Brian here. It seems Dr. Gonzo, he had to run off for the moment. Something about, my oven is burning! I'm sure everything's fine. So I get to play host for our topic this evening on E3. But I decided we need to call in a little bit of help. Brendan's still here, but we're also decided to bring in Engineer Tom. He stepped into the chair to help us out. Say hello to everyone, Tom.
Hello, everyone. How are
excellent, excellent. You keep the nice 1950s comedy going. That's what I was hoping for.
I'm confused.
Usually in the 1950s, when anyone like Johnny Carson says like "Hello, Shirley," and we're like "Hello, Shirley." Okay, no, that's topic for another day.
No, never mind. It's okay. I get it now.
And also with us, we have a guest with us with his expert opinion. It's the one and only Mike The Birdman Dodd. Dodd, how's everything going for you?
Not bad. What's up, pussy farts?
And that is why our podcast is rated mature.
Yeah, right. I thought I'd get the first F-bomb.
Yep.
If it wasn't rated mature before, it is now.
Or we can make this the prerequisite PG-13. I can say fuck once.
At least
Now, to make it rated R, motherfucker.
Oh, joy.
That is great. Tonight, we are discussing our annual E3 sort of blowout show. E3 happened last week, I think. Going to have to be honest with everyone here. Unfortunately, unlike last year where I actually paid attention to everything, this year, not so much. I blame a little bit of my day job. That's why you guys here are all here to help everything out. I will say, though, from what I've gotten from at least a week past, it was kind of an alright E3 show. I'm not sure there was a lot of big surprises, well, there's a couple surprises, a couple of moments, but I sort of got the feeling that it was like, hey, E3's here, and now E3's gone. Like, there wasn't, I guess, too terrible enthusiasm, if I want to invent a new word. Is that how you guys felt, Mike? Is that how you saw it?
Honestly, this E3 was the one we've been waiting for at least the last 4. This is the E3 you really should have been paying attention to, because this year was all about games. There were very few hardware announcements. I mean, there was a little bit of stuff about Project Morpheus, Oculus Rift, whatever. PS Vita TV coming over in the fall. The big thing that really surprised me is how much Microsoft did not fuck this up. Like, they came out swinging for the fences. They hit it. Nintendo, once again, with not having a presence in terms of a traditional press conference, I think Nintendo did a great job with their Nintendo Direct-ish type stuff, especially when it comes to Smash Brothers and having the Invitational Tournament. I thought that was a really great move. I'd say if I had to say one thing that disappointed me this year, it would have been EA for the most part, with the lone exceptions of Dragon Age Inquisition, Battlefield Hardline, and that would be pretty much it. One major stumbling block, I think, for this year's E3, and I'd love to get your guys' opinions on this, were the problems that were with Assassin's Creed Unity, and that came down to their explanation as to why there is no women in it.
Yeah, that I did hear about. But before we get really into that, you guys sort of agree with Dodd here, the Birdman. Brendan, you think this is the one we were really wanting to get to? This is the one all about the games?
It was definitely all about the games. Yeah, I'd say that particular part of the analysis is spot on. It wasn't, knock down, drag out, exhilarating like some parts of last year's E3, but it was better, I think, in that the overall quality, the overall, stream of things we wanted to see was pretty consistent. And that's a good thing.
And Tom, you're the one that actually followed, I think, out of the three of us, besides the Birdman here, more of it. Is this sort of were you able to see sort of a standout, especially since the last year seemed to be kind of a disappointment in terms, at least with Microsoft? We all sort of gangbanged on Microsoft these last couple of years for just not doing the job.
Yeah, this year's E3 marks the first time in a long time, and I've been following E3 since I was a little kid, that I've been genuinely excited about the releases for the new console generations and some of the big announcements. It was all about the games, which I feel like the last couple E3s have been kind of marred with the year before last, console speculation and then console announcements, which were all well and good, but for me as a hardcore gamer, it's always been about the games, and they definitely hit the mark this year.
Yeah. So let's start, I guess, with the individual conferences, because everyone's that's sort of the general, but the conferences is what we want to always sort of talk about, because that's the time for any sort of company to shine. I believe Microsoft was the first one up, and like I said, the last several years has not been kind to Microsoft. They've been criticized heavily with the Xbox One, putting things into it, taking things out of it. Here's the Kinect, maybe not the Kinect anymore. But this year, I did hear that they just talked about the games, and this is what we wanted. Was there any really good games though?
If I can pipe in here, what they led with, the DLC coming from Capcom was a great opener. The Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition EX Plus Alpha
and
DLC.
it's so worth it, by the way.
I have not had an opportunity to download and play that yet, but that's good to know.
I will admit, at least someone at Capcom kind of realizes that they do go completely insane with adjectives.
Like, beyond the impossible.
Yes. They're like...
One thing that kind of surprised me, though, is it was offered at a full $10, and there was no discount for Seasons Pass holders. Although it is a pretty big piece of content. I mean, that's a game that'll take you probably about, there are 20 characters. The main campaign should take you about an hour to get through, so there's a lot of content there. Some of it really awesome, some of it really obscure. You have to be like a Capcom fan to know what the hell some of it is. But I was really surprised it was available that day. And I wish more companies would do that. I mean, do you guys remember a couple E3s ago when they announced Final Fantasy VII would be available on PSN that day?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I remember that. Of course, my memory also sucks, so I probably was like, "Yay!" and then forgot.
Yeah, this was like 2 or 3 E3s ago. So I'm happy when companies can do stuff like that. Say, by the way, guys, if you want to try it today, here it is. And they did the same thing with the Battlefield 4 beta, but that was only PlayStation 4. Which crashed the PlayStation Network, which was hilarious.
Totally hilarious, but totally worth it, too, in my opinion. I mean, just that one, that's one that people are going to remember. Oh, hey, Battlefield Hardline exists. There's going to be an open beta for it. And oh, by the way, it's open right now.
It looks pretty sick. I'm actually looking forward to that. Another thing that really surprised me about Microsoft's press conference, I like right at the beginning, they came out and said, we are making no new hardware announcements at this time. Just straight out, like, you know what, guys? Fuck it. Here are games. That was probably about the best thing they could have done, because as we know, last year it was all Xbox One, and it was all very entertainment-focused. This year, like we said, it was about games, which I kind of wonder if after the Xbox One debacle, if there was a change in their PR strategy. And I'm not just talking, oh God, guys, we fucked up. But I wonder if there was a change in management.
Well, we know there was a change in management.
Well,
I mean, just saying.
Heads definitely rolled.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, although it's amazing just how much of a 360, if you can forgive the pun, how much they pulled, though. I mean, it's like 2 different companies night and day.
I think you mean an Xbox 180.
Yeah, there we go. Xbox 180.
I wish I could take credit for that. I really wish I could. But
yeah, I mean, honestly, they did so much right this year. Phil Spencer, I think that's his name, right? He's the head of Xbox?
Yeah.
He's the new head of Xbox.
He's been very kind to the press. He's been very open in talking with them and other journalists. So I'm really liking the way Xbox is actually headed this year. Although I actually had this discussion on my website, thisweekingeek.net, today with my co-host Jamie. We were talking about them still supporting the last generation of games and how they're kind of splitting it right down the middle right now, with half the people having Xbox Ones, the other half still having 360s. I kind of wonder how that's going to work for them moving forward, considering how long the Xbox 360's life cycle actually was.
Well, I have a theory about that. It is, again, not entirely my own theory, based on the fact that I've been doing a fair amount of reading on the subject. But one of the current ideas is that a lot of the console developers were hedging their bets. They saw the slow starts that the new systems got off to. They saw the somewhat negative feedback at the beginning, and they decided we may as well split the games between consoles, because if the new consoles crash and burn, at least we'll have the old ones to fall back on and keep putting games on, keep making money. Now that the new consoles have started to take off, have started to get an install base, now putting all those games on the older consoles sort of feels like a waste of resources, because why put it on two systems when you can put it on one and sell just as much?
As
so
with every
they're going
console...
to start...
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, now I think that we've got the install base, we're going to start seeing a gradual move over towards putting games on the new consoles so that we can, access all of the next-gen capability without having to sort of walk a middle ground where it looks nice on the new systems but is still good enough or weak enough to be played on the old systems, to be more precise. Now, sorry, what were you going to say, Tom?
Oh, I was just going to say, as with every console generation transition, this is always what happens. All of the big companies make promises to the current console generation owners that no worries, if you don't upgrade to the newest systems, you'll still be able to play the latest games. We're fully committed to continuing support for these older consoles. And then about a year or two later, it's kind of swept under the rug. And I feel like we're kind of at that juncture right now.
Eventually everyone sort of has to upgrade. Even though I have yet to buy a next-gen console. I still sit with my Xbox 360, my PS3, my Wii, my Famicom, my Dreamcast. Like, eventually I know that if I want to play any sort of new games that sort of come up, I'm going to have to upgrade. And for me to see the game companies, at least Microsoft and everyone, saying, all right, we want you to get this system, and and this is why we want you to do it, because look at all this cool stuff you can play. Like, that is definitely, I agree that is something they probably should have done from the very beginning, instead of focusing on the Kinect, instead of getting sort of the casual people to sort of buy a really expensive DVR with extras, focus on the game, then say, hey, this is other stuff I can do. They did it backwards. That's why everyone really got angry at them. So now they're seeing them do it sort of the quote-unquote the correct way, I guess, if there is a such thing, is a little bit of breath of fresh air. But is that enough? Like, sales for the Xbox One, I really don't know, but I knew they were not as strong as PS4 at all. And then I hear that possibly they're going to abandon the Kinect, which was sort of like one of their big selling points almost a year ago.
Can I touch on that real fast? I just want to point out that I think it was awesome that there was only one single Kinect announcement, which was I think it's just the new Just Dance, which is coming out. And
there was Fantasia.
Fantasia?
And there was another indie game as well that uses Kinect. I only saw 3 games that use Kinect this entire E3. So happy for that.
Well, I think they realized that that motion controls aren't there, and if they aren't quite there yet to provide the kind of experiences that they have long since promised.
Well, truth be told, as much as I think it's cool to wave my hand to see my TV do stuff, If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like, and I hear like a lot of people say it hasn't really worked out as well. So it's maybe, and I think motion controls were a fad. Like, I feel like, and that's why Nintendo said, all right, after the Wii, we're not going to do that many motion controls anymore. We had our fun, now we're going to move on to something else.
The only game that ever got it right was Dance Central and Just Dance.
Just Dance.
And as much as you could argue one section of Star Wars Connect did, which was based on Dance Central. But other than that, though, yeah, Connect, it's a failure, and it kind of sucks because I hear a lot of people who have Xbox Ones disconnect their Connect. But if we didn't have Connect, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I'm recording this from my couch on my Xbox One.
That's
and
true.
I really like the voice controls. I just wish you could do more with Kinect, although I don't think maybe the technology's there, but the software isn't, so to speak, because one of the games that will work amazing with Kinect will be that Fantasia game. You're composing music like Mickey did back in the 30s with the original Fantasia. That's really cool. And companies like Harmonix know how to use this shit because they did Dance Central. So maybe there's cool games hiding in motion gaming, but I'm kind of doubting it. I mean, you know what would make motion gaming for me fun? Do you guys remember on the Wii a game called House of the Dead Overkill?
Yes.
All right. Imagine if you could play that game, but you could pick up a toy gun at your local Dollar General and use that in the game. And if you had a bigger gun, you get to use a bigger gun in the game.
So you're talking about like some sort of version of first-person shooter Scribblenauts using the Kinect. Basically,
think about how cool that sounds when you say that.
I think it sounds awesome. Yeah.
This gun's not working. Here, giant Nerf gun. All right, I feel better now.
Yeah, now that being said, if you owned, say, the NECA versions of the friggin' Gears of War guns, the Lancers, you can have a lot of fun with that, I'm just saying.
Or why just stick with projectile weaponry? Get a big old foam toy sword out of the toy chest in the attic.
Yeah, and you could do actual lightsaber combat.
I feel like
would be adorable.
I would so hurt myself.
Oh, but just see, the possibilities are there. I don't know if, like I said, is it the software not there? Is it the hardware not there? I don't know. I'm not a developer.
Developers, are you listening? Get on this.
I would really
make it fun. First-person Scribblenauts. It could be fun.
So I guess we could say that like Microsoft, after like a couple of really bad games, finally had like they haven't broken even yet, but they're on the right track. On the other hand, though, we have Sony, who after the PlayStation 4 debuted has exploded onto the scene, and it feels like they could almost do no wrong. And their conference came up, and there's a couple of things that I eventually heard of. One of them is I heard that they're going to bring Grand Theft Auto 5 to PlayStation 4, to which I say no shock, no real surprise. Grand Theft Auto 5 was humongously popular. I think it's actually one of the best ones of the series, believe it or not. I'm actually playing it, and I don't really like a lot of open world games, so that's no surprise.
It was the one open world game that changed my mind on them. Grand Theft Auto 5 was one of the best experiences I had last year.
It's so interesting. Be careful about playing online, though, because they're...
Oh, fuck that. That game sucks online.
Oh, my. Many adventures. I had an adventure today where the game itself, I don't know why, put three bounties on me in a row.
In a row?
In a row.
Pissed off the wrong person.
I'm like, what wrong person? Is it the same person? Am I stealing your car? Your 3 different cars?
You came to the wrong neighborhood, motherfucker.
And that doesn't help the fact that there's a troll in every car.
There's a troll in every car. But so you see, that's really no shock. Then was The Last of Us is going to come on the PlayStation 4. Again, this is like not real shocking surprises. I would expect sort of upgraded games to get onto PlayStation 4. What surprised me, and actually did excite me a little bit, was Grim Fandango. Was the return of Grim Fandango. Mostly because I grew up with a lot of point-and-click adventures, especially with all the old LucasArts point-and-click adventures. So to see one of those, one of the most famous ones, sort of come back, and they're obviously going to give it an HD, like, I guess, facelift, things like that. Hopefully they don't change a lot, maybe just the graphics itself, because the game in and of itself is even great to play now. So to see them sort of reach out to this different area as well, I was like, that's pretty cool. That got me a little bit excited. Was there anything else, though, of Sony? Did Sony, like, wow anyone here?
Yeah.
There was that No Man's Sky thing looks kind of cool.
I was just going to say No Man's Sky. I cannot wait to see how that materializes because I'm kind of torn down the center but excited at the same time. There's a lot of big promises on the table. We only saw just a brief clip of the game, but if they can deliver on what they're talking about, that's gonna bust doors wide open. It's easily one of the most unique takes on an open world game I've ever seen.
Now, yeah, so it's an open world. Exactly, is it sort of?
It's a persistently generated world where it's all kind of like randomized. So one time you could leave your planet and then go to another planet, maybe full of water and aquatic animals, and explore that. Or, another time you could go that same way and then experience something else entirely.
Well, that's interesting. That does sound pretty cool.
Yeah, but it's a big. There are a lot of grand and big ideas on the table, but I just really hope that they deliver on expectation.
That's always the case. You never really know. I mean, look at Watch Dogs right now. Fable, Watch Dogs, big next gen. You kind of get it. It's like, it's kind of next gen, and then it's also still kind of gen. If that makes any sense whatsoever.
Of the three press conferences, I would say that Sony had the most variation in terms of games, because you have a lot of the typical stuff. You've got on Nintendo, you've got Zelda titles, you've got Smash Brothers, you've got all the stuff that you're used to, and on Microsoft, you've got all the first person shooters, all the sports games, like standard fare. But I think that Sony's biggest strength is the fact that they're catering so heavily to smaller studios now, and they're really kind of cherry picking the best concepts from these developers to showcase.
You always have to wonder like how developers really feel about a lot of what's going on. So here sort of there is an independent sort of. I guess they're trying to help that out a bit. Is always really good. I know for a fact I have a couple of indie games I got mostly through my PlayStation Plus account. So to hear that sort of continue, that's definitely a good feeling. But then you have what I did also sort of hear of the Sony press conferences, while they were definitely showing off a lot of their games, a lot of upcoming things, a lot of announcements, they were also the ones though that did bring up new hardware, like the PS Vita TV, where correct me if I'm wrong, this is just a hardware setup that allows you to play Vita games through your PS4, right?
No, this is actually it's basically a PS Vita without the screen and the back touch screen that you hook directly into your television. It's like a miniature console. And as far as that goes, I think Sony is just trying to salvage the Vita, which was, by all accounts, a commercial disaster, unfortunately.
Which sucks because it's a wonderful
it's a great
piece
console.
of hardware.
I've got one of them, and
Yeah, same here.
yeah, but like we were talking about this before. Brian and I were talking about this before the start of the show. The big downfall with the PS Vita is the fact that it's not so much the hardware issues. Like people had issues with the second analog stick being missing from the PSP. It's just the fact that there aren't any real standout, oh my god, this is amazing, I've got to get this system titles. available
Yeah,
for
there
it.
is no killer app.
Yeah, there are
I
plenty
think
of great games, but nothing that makes you scream, I gotta have one of these right now.
The one title that surprised me out of the Vita last year was, I think it was Killzone Mercenaries. I think that's what it was called, or whatever.
Yeah, that was
That was
awesome.
surprisingly good.
Yeah.
And other than that, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which was a launch title. Considering how long that console's been around, that's some next-gen bullshit right there. Whereas
Yeah.
you look at the 3DS, there are so many must-have titles for that system. Like, you can... Hell, every year there's must-have titles for that. And it's had, what? It's got, what, 3 years?
3 years, yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
Jesus,
what the
yes.
fuck? Whereas with the Vita, there's maybe... Like, we can all agree there are good, even great games on that console.
Sure.
But there's, oh my god, dude, you gotta buy it now.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
And they're trying to integrate it with the PlayStation 4, which is a really good idea, hoping to move hardware. But, motherfucker, if all it can do is offer me a rear view mirror while I'm playing, like, Gran Turismo, fuck you.
Yeah, if that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, make it do something. I mean, for The Last of Us or something, make it like a radio or something. Or, I'm looking at my PlayStation 4 games right now. I'm trying to figure out what could it do.
Like, I'm thinking of... You mentioned radio. I am now automatically thinking of No More Heroes, where you would occasionally get phone calls on the Wii remote you were using to play.
Oh, okay.
Shit
so
like that. That would be fun.
if they do another Fallout game, which they inevitably will, if you
Pit
have a
Boy.
PS Vita, that's your Pit Boy.
Oh my Jesus.
That would be amazing.
That needs to
Fucking
happen.
Bethesda, I know people in development. Fucking listen to me. This would be cool. You're making a really integrated app. That's it. Do it. People will come. I promise you.
You have to.
They
There's
will
always to be a
throw
concern.
money at you.
There's always a
Throw
concern
it.
though that they
Watch
may have
it
already
rain.
they may have already said we can't do anymore. This is sort of our last hurrah. Do what you can with it. It does suck though, because like I've never really been interested in the Vita, but it sounds like I might be in the minority in this group. But
Well, I don't know.
there is something else though. Maybe because I was thinking about TV, and maybe I'm confusing things. Because like I said, I didn't pay that much attention because I'm a loser. Is that they also started sort of doing what they started integrating like network shows. I heard that they're gonna bring Powers, which is a comic book written by Brian Michael Bendis. They're gonna bring that to like their PlayStation Store, PlayStation whatever, like their own series, sort of how Netflix has House of Cards and Orange is the New Black. And correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this what we sort of we didn't we give a bunch of shit to Microsoft last year about stuff like this?
Yeah, but it's
Well,
not one of their
Microsoft-
primary focuses. It's just something they're sort of dabbling in, unlike Microsoft, who jumped in with both feet into the media side of things.
But at the same time, it's the same thing. Yeah, they're doing it a little bit slower, but it's sort of the same thing. Now, I'm actually a little bit excited that Powers finally got a TV deal after being rejected by FX a total of, I shit you not, 3 times. You know, so to see Brian Michael Bendis finally get this thing up and running, congratulations to you, sir. I hope it's successful. But again, that's not necessarily games. Yeah, it's kind of cool, but it seems like they're doing I don't want to be real critical, but it does seem like a Wizard of Oz. It's look over here, pay no attention over here. You know. Maybe it's
Well,
just
I
me.
honestly don't know what you're talking about.
I'm in the same
and
boat.
I think that's a problem. Whereas with Microsoft, we're developing TV properties on Halo, Gears of War, Forza, Fable. They're doing all these wonderful things. That's fucking cool. Whatever you're talking about is off my radar, and that's a problem. Sony has a few really awesome exclusive IPs like Killzone, Uncharted, The Last of Us. They should be pushing properties associated with that. Because they're not going to catch Microsoft when it comes to having their service be as smooth as Xbox Live or having that type of digital content. It's just not going to happen. But Sony, as you guys said earlier, they're paying a lot of attention to smaller studios. They should be taking advantage of that. They can kick Microsoft's ass in the terms of games.
Yeah,
But I think Microsoft's going to beat them in terms of apps and entertainment. So why
Well, you know,
bother
that-
competing?
since last year, that has absolutely been Sony's mission statement, though, is like all these other guys are doing these other things, but we are first and foremost about games. We are developing a system to play games, you know. Not to say we won't dabble in the other stuff, but you know, that has always been Sony's mantra, or at least in the past few years it has been.
Absolutely. I now this is me sort of, because I'm the comic book guy, so hearing about comic book news like that definitely grabbed a little bit of my attention. It could have been actually a very small deal, which is fine, absolutely fine. And as long as they sort of keep this idea of pushing their games forward like that, I believe a new Uncharted is also on the way. Uncharted.
Yes.
Are we up to
Dear
4 now?
God, I can't wait. Yes, A Thief's End, I believe it's called.
Now, will they fix his weird jumping? Because I played 3. I borrowed it from a friend. I was like, all right, let's see what you can do. What's jumping? Nathan, are you okay?
That remains to be seen. But they did, towards the end of Sony's conference, they did a teaser for Uncharted 4, and it looks absolutely stunning. I can't wait for it.
So we have a lot of like big pushes like that. And so you had Microsoft, everyone's like, okay, this is better than I expected. Sony, hey, you're doing all right. You're doing the same thing we always love you to do. And here, once again, here comes Nintendo, who, like Dodd has said, doesn't have a major presence there, but somehow is able to almost steal the news, at least in terms on Tumblr, because Tumblr loves the Nintendo. And not paying attention, I come home and all of a sudden I have like 26 different like reblogs and updates about, look at what Nintendo is doing. So what happened, guys? What happened with Nintendo?
Well,
I think Nintendo realized, hey guys, we're in some fucking trouble here. We better turn this shit around. We're going to be out of a job if we don't do something. That's what I think. That's what happened. I think someone in Miyamoto's office or whatever hit the oh shit button, and people got their shit together.
They
deployed Sakurai and Philzame to fight each other on live camera.
No, I'm just
Or
imagining
something
that was
awesome.
awesome.
Imagine Nintendo's oh shit button, and they just press it like fucking like Goombas and Koopa Troopers like pop out of the wall and shit. It's this Mario sound like wee wee wee. Why did we name our system after our alarm?
It took a second to get that one.
But no,
know,
I honestly agree, because I mean I love Nintendo, but for the last several years it was spinning wheels. It really felt like spinning wheels. Like they weren't doing anything bad, but they weren't going forward like they usually should.
Oh dear Lord, I totally agree with you. As far as I'm concerned, the Wii U just got its second must-play title last month.
And how long has it been out though?
been out for like 3 years now.
A year and a bit.
Yeah, year and a change. You get your second must-play title.
See, I think the problem with Nintendo is they launched the Wii U too soon, but they almost kind of had to, because they needed that jump to catch up to Microsoft and Sony, because the Wii compared to the 360 and the PS3, they were frankly, and I'm going to use some offensive terms here, they were getting fist fucked. And it's terrible because Nintendo is known for making these really awesome, innovative games, but if the only ones that were really selling were like the Mario and the Zeldas. The only title I can remember for the Wii that really mattered was Skyward Sword in the last year of its life. And then with the Wii U, their strongest title, was their first launch title was New Super Mario Bros. U and Zombie U. Everything after that was ports. Nobody cared.
And no one cared.
I mean, you could argue Lego City Undercover, which was Grand Theft Auto, but with Lego. That's pretty cool. But that's not a system seller. Then doing the Wind Waker HD. That's cool. but that's not a system seller.
I really
They
felt
should've-
like. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, but it's like, they should have launched with 2 or 3 Mario. If they had launched with Mario Kart and New Super Mario Bros. U, and then 8 months down the road had, I don't know, maybe something else. Maybe that New Super Mario World 3D or something. Maybe like 8 months to a year and a half down the road, like now. Then I think that system might have really done a lot better than what it's doing now. Another problem I think with Nintendo, and it's such a simple problem to fix. Once again, just for disclosure, Nintendo gave me a Wii U at launch at no cost to me, blah, blah, blah. That being said, a year and a half later, as of this date, the largest Wii U hard drive is 32 gigs, right?
Think so. That
Right.
sounds about right.
And that's
I
a
have
horrible
6
size.
gigs of data left. This is a problem.
That
Yep.
does sound like a problem.
Because
Mm-hmm.
you can walk down to Best Buy and get half a terabyte for like what, $100, $200?
If that.
Yeah.
You know,
so,
I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting.
That's okay. I mean, supporting external storage is one thing, and that's cool and that's great. Whatever. I think the onus should be on the console makers, the manufacturers. Give me the standard, or at least allow me to upgrade the internal hard drive without having to void my fucking warranty. That's one of the problems with Nintendo, is you can't do any aftermarket stuff with it. And I know, and Sony's one company that's actively embraced it. They're like, dude, you want to slap in a 2 or 3 terabyte hard drive in there? Fuck, we don't care. Here you go. No one cares. And that's something no one ever talks about. As Microsoft, you have to buy a proprietary drive, or at least if you don't have to, but it's annoying to put one in. Nintendo, it's annoying to put it in. Yet Sony, it's so easy. And I don't get how Nintendo thought they could go to market in this current generation and say, oh yeah, we're going to give you 32 gigs. What the fuck, guys?
It could just been it sounds like when they sort of launched or whenever they're moving it forward, maybe someone didn't realize it. Maybe they felt like their games, their games weren't, that big to start off with. Whatever the reason is, I didn't know about this problem until you brought it up. But yeah, that just sounds massively, massively annoying.
I downloaded one game from EA last year. I think it's Need for Speed Rivals, I think it is.
Yeah.
That game alone is 18 gigs.
That's almost half.
Yeah, that's
it's more than half.
Target.
Yeah.
And that's not including patches.
Tom, go ahead.
I'm off my soapbox. Go on.
Well, I think if you look back at Nintendo since they entered what could be considered the current generation, leading from GameCube to the Wii to the Wii U, if you look at a lot of the decisions they made, they are still very much stuck in kind of, I think, a different time period where they treat systems, or they still view systems as family entertainment, as these kind of not end all be all sort of consoles that Microsoft and Sony have turned them into. They're still it's kind of like trying to teach, like some of the decisions that they've made. It's the equivalent of trying to teach your grandparents the internet. They're just kind of a very old-fashioned Japanese-centric country, and I think that there needs to be a change in their head management.
Well, there needs to be someone in charge of hardware that needs to one of the things that always bugged me about the Wii, there's no option to hardwire it into a router. I actually, I've got my main review set up in my living room with all my consoles, like PS3, Xbox One. Everything is in my living room, except for my Wii U. Because the wireless signal is not strong enough to go the 50 or 60 feet to the back of my apartment to play games online. I almost bricked my system because it almost lost the download during the first week of launch because I couldn't get a stable connection until I moved it. Why Nintendo would offer a system with not a LAN capability is beyond me.
Yeah,
and really think about that for a second, because if you're going to be playing Mario Kart online or Smash Brothers online, you want a really stable, lag-free connection. Wireless is not that.
That's a point I've never really thought of before. When it's interesting, that's well, no, you're interesting because you mentioned Mario Kart and the new Super Smash Brothers, because we kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent here because we're just talking about sort of the game system itself. At the conference, well, not conference, direct, whatever they do, some dude in front of a camera.
Nintendo's thingy.
Yeah.
Yes.
They started pushing a lot of their games as well, so they had a lot of different games that came out. I know for a fact that the new Super Smash Brothers, they showed that off. That's obviously a system seller. And they added a few new characters to it. They added Pac-Man to it. So now this is interesting. Think about this. This is a game that in Super Smash Brothers that has Mario, Sonic, Pac-Man, and Mega Man all in the same game at the same time, that's actually being officially released and not something that was made independently. Holy shit. My 10-year-old self came out and said, "I don't even believe you," and then left.
I want to know, where's my Simon Belmont? Where's the Castlevania love?
I don't know, but
well, either assist trophy or wait till next cycle.
But
I don't wanna.
But at the same time, it's cool that they're like, all right, we're pushing Super Smash Brothers. All right, guess what, guys? We have sort of a spin-off of a Mario game coming out. All right, that looks interesting. Guess what, guys? Here's Mario Kart 8. Here's there's a new Zelda coming out. 2 new Zeldas. One Zelda's Dynasty Warriors, and then another Zelda that we're not going to officially tell you all the information yet. You have to wait and see.
That might not even actually be Link.
That might not even star Link. But something my brother said, my older brother, who said on Facebook a while ago, mentioned that he said it very sarcastically on his Facebook. He said, "Congratulations, Nintendo, you've sold the exact same game for like the 5th year in a row." And I feel like that's almost sort of true. Yeah, they introduced a lot of games that people I think will obviously buy either because they're huge fans of it or they do look interesting. But it's sort of the same. They're sort of pushing their IPs. Like, it's great that we have Mario Kart 8. It looks fantastic. It's still just Mario Kart. Like, the fact they made it up to 8, I think, is impressive. And has sort of somehow kept it fresh. But here we have, 2 new Zeldas. Zelda's cool because they actually decided, all right, let's not do just straight up normal Zelda. Here's something a little bit interesting. Here you run around with armies and you fight people like a la Dynasty Warriors. All right, that's cool. Now here's this new other Zelda game. That's going to be kind of like all the other Zelda games, but it might be open world, which sounds to me as like you might get lost or bored really quickly, because that's sort of what happens to me in open worlds. I know why people are excited, but to me it feels like, again, they're sort of spinning wheels. Yeah, they're giving stuff what people want, but it feels like it's the same stuff again, just looking prettier, maybe a little bit faster.
Where's my new Metroid?
There we go. How many new Metroids are we supposed to get?
Screw Metroid. Where the hell is F-Zero?
That too.
That's a really good question. Although they did show a tech demo for Star Fox, so that's something.
Oh my God, yes, thank you for reminding me. That is something I will be looking forward to. Particularly, I mean, you saw how the visuals setup is going to work, right? Outside you're ROing on the big screen, inside it on the tablet.
That's pretty badass.
Actually got me pretty psyched.
And finally, them using this tablet thing properly, unlike it's a map screen or item selection. Finally, innovation. That's cool. The only other people I've seen use this properly was Ubisoft for Splinter Cell Blacklist. You could drive that remote control drone with the tablet, which I thought was pretty cool. But now that Nintendo's gonna allow you to do something like that, this is gonna be really fucking cool.
Absolutely. That was sort of holding a lot of, I think, people back because they weren't really sure how exactly to use the tablet other than the obvious, like, inventory screens or whatever.
Like a glorified DS or 3DS for your TV screen.
Yeah. Now, there is a Fatal Frame game they're developing, right? I heard that. No, was that? I'm not sure if that was at E3. Now, holy shit, Fatal Frame with that little, like, your pad can be your camera. Like, you don't have to look at the screen. You can actually look behind you. That would freak me out. I'm not sure I would play that. And it all goes quiet.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're discussing horrifying things to be done with a horror game to make you even more terrified. I think silence is an appropriate response.
Maybe someone will mod Slender into the Wii U.
Stop giving them ideas.
No. But like it's so now a lot of people kind of saying I don't know if Nintendo quote unquote won E3. I'm not even sure who really won E3. I think this was sort of a what happened? You're still here. I'm still here.
He dropped out for a second.
No,
We'll let her down.
Okay.
So I don't know if anyone's actually won E3 because I'm not really sure how that really measures up because a lot of it is also preferences. So if you do like stuff on Xbox, you're going to think Xbox won, or you do like the PlayStation 4 better, you think PlayStation 4 won. If you're Tumblr, Nintendo obviously won. So I don't know who win. I think I do know who's lost. I think there is one company that sort of lost E3 because
EA?
EA, but also I'm talking a little bit.
Cool game.
Say sports good now. EA, I'll tell you also what EA lost. EA has the Star Wars license now to make Star Wars games. They've done shit. Like, come on, guys. Battlefield, Republic Commando, anything?
Oh, hang on. We got Battlefront.
When?
We have a new
Battlefront
Battlefront
coming for 7 years.
Yeah, but this one looks cool. It's like Payday, but with not
Yes.
shitty game mechanics.
A good
This
thing.
one looks really fun. I'm actually really hyped for this one. Plus, EA, although I will say, won the day, was saying, oh, by the way, you want to do this beta? You can go get it right now.
Yeah,
That was
definitely
pretty
one of
smart.
the things
That
people
was
remember.
the
Although,
mic drop right there.
It crashed the PSN server. Because as soon as they announced it, I slid in my copy into my PS4, thinking, all right, gonna get it. No, fuck you.
The problem is, you and everyone who was watching had the exact same idea.
Sadly, I thought I was being clever. Nope.
And meanwhile, the people who work where the servers are for Sony was like, they're doing what? Kaboom! Shit!
You're probably just sitting there watching them catch on fire. Damn.
But I was leaning more towards Ubisoft. I can't speak today.
Oh, yeah.
Because
They showed up some cool stuff, but stuff that we expect.
yeah, and
they totally lost the PR war.
Well, yeah, like that's what I'm going at because look, Assassin's Creed. I came in late into the Assassin's Creed franchise. I came in at
Same
3.
here.
So people are like, oh, this is a really good franchise. So I'm like, all right, I'll try it out at 3 because I was able to pre-order a steel case with Alex Ross art on it because I'm a sucker for Alex Ross art. So I played it. All right, this is kind of enjoyable. I'll like to see where this goes. I didn't pick up 4. But now they came out with like, all right, we're going to have another new Assassin's Creed game. Assassin's Creed Unity with co-op. Ooh, like multiplayer? No, co-op in the game. Ooh, that's kind of neat and new. Can you play as anyone? Yes, as long as they're male. Ooh, what?
The reasoning behind that was so fucking dumb.
And I'll tell you
You'd have to
exactly
hire
what happened.
twice as many animators and voice actors.
Yeah.
Do it.
I'll tell you exactly what happened here. And this is something that I see a lot of happen with management and business. And I have no clue where they get this from, because I never learned it in school, was that when asked the question, you must always give an answer, no matter if you don't know the answer or not. Stop it. Obviously, this person, I don't even remember the guy's name, didn't know the answer because he was just spouting out bullshit about animators and it would take way more development time, and it would like double their efforts, and they couldn't do it. And everyone who ever's worked on a video game, especially Assassin's Creed, the day after said, no, that's wrong. We could have done it like real easy.
Well, actually, one of the things I remember reading about this was about a particular Ubisoft conference where precisely the opposite of what you were describing happened, where a reporter asked one of the execs on stage to clarify why there were no female characters playable in Assassin's Creed Unity, and he literally just shut up. Couldn't say
he just kind of
anything.
froze.
Well,
Yeah, and then the
PR
guy standing next to him on the stage said, "Sir, could you please possibly ask another question?"
That's even worse. It's like a domino effect. God, if you don't, this is sort of a philosophy I follow a lot. Is that it's okay if you don't know the answer. Be polite. Explain. Well, maybe I don't know that, and then try to find the answer for them. Ask somebody and then get a good answer, because the answer they gave is complete and utter bullshit. And a game that a lot of people probably could have get on excited for is now only going to remember this females are hard to animate bullshit. And it's wrong. Dead wrong.
And it's gonna cost them sales.
It's going to cost them a lot of sales. At least I would guarantee you that they would have sold at least 50% more if they had just gone through with it, maybe made one female out of it, maybe made two females. The sales would have been great. Now, you're not going to get that because you just alienated a good section of your audience. Not worth it.
See, it surprised me that the PR guy couldn't have come up with an answer to at least stall them, saying, I don't have the answer to that right now. Let me get a clarification answer for you later.
Yeah. That's all you need.
Or say we are not ready to announce this at this time. Please stay tuned for more news. Because this way, at least you're directing the audience to stay tuned to what you're saying. You're redirecting the message to shit. We need some more time to figure this out. But at least it gives you a second to breathe.
And yet, instead, all they did was stand by unhelpfully until they decided, ooh, hey, maybe we better move this along. Ask another question.
Exactly. Come on. Seriously, I graduated PR 3 years ago, and motherfucker, I knew that.
I'm not even PR. I knew that.
I'm they pay you the big bucks for what reason? I hope you packed up your desk on Monday morning.
I hear EA's hiring. You want to go over there?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure they could use you here. That stood out. That's really I want to say one of the only real big black marks of this conference, this E3 this year, was just Ubisoft being stupid. And we really don't know why. That's the problem that kills me. Although they didn't have a completely disastrous one, because Far Cry 4 looks amazing. I'm looking forward to strapping C4 to elephants.
Well, because
I hate Dumbo. I'm looking forward to Assassin's Creed Unity because it looks more like Black Flag to me. That's gonna be awesome. Rainbow Six Siege, that looks cool. Now, admittedly, it's Rainbow Six with destructible environments, but it looks a hell of a lot more tactical than Rainbow Six Vegas ever was.
It's true. Now, Rainbow Six Vegas I enjoyed greatly.
But you have to admit, okay, let me ask you this. Would you say it's a fair assessment to say it was more shooty than tactical?
Yes. It was absolutely more shooty than tactical.
And I think Siege is going to find that good mix.
Yeah, because I remember why there was tactical elements in Rainbow Six during some of the missions, but during the online stuff, you could have just gone all right, charge, do, I win, and then you hide until the guy respawns. So yeah, it was way more shooty, way more shooty than tactical.
The Division, I don't have any real interest in.
Now, what's in the Division?
The Division, it's kind of like if Destiny was an MMO FPS, this is an MMO third person. sort of thing, and you can have guilds and clans and all this shit. I don't know. And you see, that's the thing. Last year it looked really cool, and I was interested. After going this long without hearing pretty much fuck all about it, I don't care. I would have much rather have had another Splinter Cell, because I really liked Blacklist. But it is what it is. Although I think Ubisoft's big thing this year, honestly, this year, I think Far Cry is going to outsell Assassin's Creed. I'm calling that right now.
That's something to keep track of. We'll see if you're right, because I'm not sure if I would make that bet, but at the same time, I'm wrong a lot. So now this isn't E3 news, but I wanted to get this out there because I'm not sure if it'll ever come up again. Because this sort of was after E3, is that this may be the last year we see Capcom around as a company. Their renewal policy of takeovers, the shareholders decided not to renew that. Capcom is now open to be bought out, and this is really strange for me to say because I remember Capcom forever. You know, Capcom was around when I was born, and you know it's been a good part of my gaming life. But let's sort of face facts. The last couple of years have not been kind to Capcom, and Capcom hasn't really been kind to a lot of fans. Do you think they'll be bought out? I don't, to be honest. I don't
think so.
Yeah, I think what will probably happen to me is I went on a little Twitter rant about this, that if you buy Capcom, you also get their debt, and their debt's huge. And people don't want debt, but what people want IPs. And they've got a lot of IPs. And they haven't touched a lot of them in a very long time. They could sell off them. But the problem is people only want the top tier IPs. Mega Man, Dead Rising, Street Fighter. Like no one's going to buy the Final Fight, or no one's going to buy Captain Commando. Except for me. If they sold really Captain Commando. Yeah, if they sold Captain Commando, I would so buy it. I would know what to do with it.
I want Ghouls and Ghosts, man. Like there was a Kickstarter for a revamped version like last year, and Capcom put the kibosh on that, but it looked really friggin' cool.
Yeah, so yeah, you have Ghouls and Ghosts, Ghosts and Goblins, whatever you want to call it. One of the hardest games I've ever played. Hey, you beat it. No, you didn't. Play it again. Oh, what the?
And they also have Resident Evil, Bionic Commando, the 1942 games.
So
there's so much in their back catalog that could be exploited, really.
Yeah, so in my eyes, if it would come down to it, they would probably sell off a lot of their IPs. I don't know. Again, I don't know who would take them. I don't know who would do anything with them. But
Microsoft.
That's in there.
Because Sony doesn't have the money to do it anymore. Sony keeps losing money on their gaming division.
Well, Sony's lost a lot of money almost all around as a company, too.
Yeah. Maybe it would return them to something a little bit better. I mean, Microsoft, yeah, they have their problems with microtransactions. Not as bad as EA, but they're a little less stupid than Capcom has been.
Play sports good now, EA.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I mean, I think Microsoft would be smart to pick some of them up if they decide to go that way. If not, buy them outright. Because Dead Rising 3 was an exclusive for pretty much up until now.
Very much so. And so it is literally just so weird to see a company like that. It's like when Sega went out of the hardware business, you know, to see Capcom sort of die out. This is almost sort of like what happened with Midway too. You know, Midway did really well, and then they completely folded under their own weight, and now, they had to shrink down. So the only things they make now is Mortal Kombat. That's it. They're owned by like Warner Brother Games or something like that now as NetherRealms. So it feels like almost sort of the same situation that Capcom's going through. But it's hard. It's hard to you feel sorry because you know people will lose jobs out of this, and that's always terrible. But at the same time, Capcom has not done very well with its current IPs. I'm pretty sure every single Mega Man fan is looking at me now going, "Oh, you think?" Yeah. And so it's very strange to say that we might see the end of a company like that. I know a lot of people was like, Nintendo should buy Capcom. I was like, again, Nintendo has its own problem to worry about. The year Luigi was not kind to them either. So I don't think they want to take a huge chance, buy up a whole bunch of new debt, and then only use like maybe Mega Man. I wouldn't mind someone's buying up all the old school side-scrolling beat-em-ups. When was the last really good side-scroller beat-em-up? Double Dragon Neon?
Final
kind
Fight.
of.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah, that was decent. Although, I mean, Castle Crashers, I vastly prefer to Scott Pilgrim.
Yes.
But
I'll
still,
take Scott Pilgrim
was
mostly because of the soundtrack.
Yeah, Double Dragon Neon, it's a fine game if you don't mind throwing up because of the colors or your ears bleeding because of their soundtrack. It's, again, not a bad game, but by the end of it, I was like, I want to end this. Oh God, my eyes. Not everything has to be neon. So I wouldn't mind something like that happening. But again, it's going to be I'm not sure the market's really there anymore. That old school beat 'em ups is definitely, I want to say a thing about past, but it was definitely something I enjoyed tremendously. And like I said, I would buy Captain Commando. Fuck all what I can do with it. I can look at it. Just tell my friends, look what I got. Ooh, it's a box. Yeah. So, all right, this has been fantastic. So I want to give final thoughts to everyone here. I want to get a chance to see like how you felt this year went and other things you're really looking forward to. Brendan, why don't you start? Tom, and then we'll end off with our special guest, Mike Dodd.
All right. Well, yeah, as I stated at the outset, this was perhaps a slightly more low-key E3 than last year, but a better one overall, perhaps despite the lack of, emotionally charged, high-tension events that are, confrontational in nature or extremely underwhelming in some cases. This year's events were just, all pretty evenly good, with, the odd hiccup here and there. Ubisoft, obviously. But, I mean, a lot of the companies had cool stuff that they were pretty keen on showing off, and they presented it in a reasonable manner. I think it was not necessarily the E3 we deserved, but it was the one we needed right now.
E3's Batman, weird. Tom, go ahead.
Like I said before, this was the first E3 that I've felt truly excited over in a really long time, because we got down to basics, which, the main draw has always been games, and I felt like we got a lot of that this year, and there was a mixed bag in some ways in terms of innovation, but there were a lot of hopeful experiments out there that we'll see kind of bloom and become something amazing or stand out. Where, if I were to compare it to last year, I felt like it was a much more focused show, because we kind of all got wrapped up in the the drama rather between Sony and Microsoft, instead of focusing on the consoles. This year it was, I don't know, it was a return to form for the first time for E3 in a long time. So I was overall very happy. I'm very excited. I haven't felt this excited for games since I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
So that's saying a lot.
Birdman, take us home.
This is the E3 that made me excited to be a game journalist again. And that's something to say, because last year I was like, man, fuck you guys. And this was the year I was like, oh my god, this is actually a really good time to be a gamer. This year I felt, other than a few hiccups, there was very little bullshit this year. So congratulations, Nintendo, you've redeemed yourself. Sony, you're doing a good job, stay the course. Microsoft, you didn't screw up this year. That's awesome. So looking forward
Welcome back on the bandwagon.
Exactly. Welcome back. Welcome to the club. Looking forward to holiday 2014. My wallet will be hurting on October 7th of this year with Alien Isolation, the new Lord of the Rings game, and Smash Brothers coming out that week. It's going to be a very, very expensive October like it always is, but hey, I wouldn't have it any other way. So, good job.
All right. Now, as always, before we sign off, Mike being the wonderful guest that he is, it is your time to pimp anything that you're doing, any upcoming projects or shows or whatever have you. So, pimp away.
Well, you can always and now only find me on thisweekingeek.net. You can hear me occasionally on AM 640 in Toronto. I do some work with their show. I'm on Newstalk 1010 occasionally in Toronto, across a variety of different shows, offering my expert conspiracy opinion. I'm also on nerdvice.com now, where I syndicate some content. And I'm always around, always new shows almost daily on This Week in Geek. And I'm always around on Twitter at Birdman Dodd.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for listening. This has been a fantastic show. Leave your comments. What were you excited for at E3? What are you looking forward to? What do you think was good, bad, indifferent? You're not really sure? Anything. We love to hear comments from everyone and our fans. So that's it for this week. As always, I'm Brian.
I'm Brendan. And buy some conspiracy.
I'm Tom.
I am a meat popsicle.
All right, Taka, play us out.